Here for a chat that will be unleashed, undiluted and frankly unrivaled. And a reminder that if you'd like even more royal videos and more Royal Richard, make sure you subscribe to our channel and never miss another episode of Palace Confidential. Richard, I've got you all to myself at last. It's what all the Edenites out there are dreaming of.
It's good to be here, as always.
Indeed. Now, let's kick things off with a story you've written this week about Balmoral, where the royals are off on holiday to, and it seems that plans there have developed.
There's always been lots of intrigue about what will happen this year with Balmoral, because obviously it was Queen Elizabeth's beloved home. She liked nothing more than spending her long summer holiday at Balmoral. But we've known that King Charles, Queen Camilla are not nearly so keen on the castle. They've got their lovely sort of home from home at Markle, which is on the estate, but it was thought they'd want to spend as much time there as possible. But what my story was this week is that, in fact, from next week, the King and Queen will spend 3 weeks at the castle itself. And you know, it's a sign that they want to make Balmoral their home too, and they're very keen to show that it remains their Scottish residence.
Do they want to, or do you think it's possible that somebody's had a quiet word that it's not the best look to not be using your 52-room castle?
I mean, it is true that it sort of highlights you know, how many homes they've got. But Balmoral is a private estate. There's no cost to the taxpayer or anything. It's whether they stay at Birkhall or at the castle is, you know, immaterial really. I think interestingly though, what it shows is the King's desire actually to highlight Balmoral as a tourist attraction. There's one thing I can reveal on this programme now is that King Charles is going to extend the opening of Balmoral to the public, which is going to be this autumn and the winter.
Right.
So previously it's just been open for a few weeks before Queen Elizabeth arrived to try and bring a bit of money in to help pay for the costs. Well, something which was previewed was that King Charles essentially is keen to turn it into a museum, so to speak, so it will be open to the public in the autumn and winter. And what better way to highlight that it remains a beloved royal residence than to have the King and Queen staying there.
Indeed.
And it will start with them inspecting a guard, all the fanfare next Monday, so that's something to look forward to.
Now, if you had the really challenging task of deciding where will I stay, Balmoral or Birkhall, where would you go?
Well, I've never had the privilege of staying at either, so wouldn't call. The thing about Balmoral...
This must be an agonising decision.
The thing about Balmoral is the history of it. I mean, actually, one good thing in Prince Harry's book, Spare, is his account of Balmoral, and they absolutely loved it. I think all the royal children have always loved their time there. It's that sense of freedom. As we know, the royal family love, you know, shooting, country sports and that type of thing, and that's perfect for that. So generally the royal family love it. I mean, what will be really interesting is to see who goes to stay with the King and Queen during those 3 weeks. I expect we'll see Prince and Princess of Wales and their children.
Yeah.
I would have thought we'll see perhaps Princess Anne, Prince Edward and his children maybe. What will be really interesting, though, is Prince Andrew and Fergie.
Oh, they'll be there. Come on.
Will they? I'm not sure. It remains to be seen. Because if they're going to be preparing again for it to be open to the public in the autumn, it's possible that once the King leaves, after those 3 weeks, they might sort of, you know, get the cleaners in again and start preparing and... Sorry, it won't be open to Andrew, so we'll see.
We will see. Now, speaking of men whispering in the King's ear, you've also reported that one senior courtier is to be given a new job, and it's a move that might ruffle a few feathers in Montecito. Yeah,
this is Sir Edward Young, who was Queen Elizabeth's private secretary for years, very loyal servant, but he became very much a hate figure for Prince Harry and Meghan. So unfortunately, he was one of those, what they call them, sort of men in grey suits, those officials that were blamed for essentially not welcoming Meghan, not sort of incorporating their ambitions and desires for what they wanted to achieve. And they were sort of blamed with Megxit. So he was described as the bee in Harry's book.
Yep.
There was the bee the wasp, and another one who
better to be a bee.
Escapes. Yeah,
Wasps are worse than bees.
Bees not too bad,
Yeah.
but it was the three principal courtiers that Prince Harry is very rude about in his book. But anyway, what's happened this week is that King Charles has appointed Lord Young, as he now is, to be his permanent Lord-in-Waiting. Now, it's a great title, but what it means is that Lord Young, as he now is, Lord Young of Windsor, brilliant title, shows what an insider he is, and he can represent the king at, it's likely to be things like funerals or engagements where the king can't attend in person. So I think it's really significant because it's, I mean, imagine what it shows. It shows King Charles saying, I value my, I've got respect for the courtiers more.
And siding with, basically taking a side.
Yeah, and more than he's bothered about antagonising, Harry and Meghan. I mean, I joked in my diary today, about there might be some sort of crockery thrown in a certain villa in Montecito. But imagine what that's like, when you see someone who you blame for sort of giving you a hard time to be then rewarded in this really public way. So it really does highlight the gulf, I think, between father and son that there still is. And, for any kind of rapprochement in the future, it shows what a long way they'd have to go.
Well, we'll be returning to the Sussex in just a moment, but we're going to turn to the Walesers for now. And it seems that any Australian fans who might have been hoping for a glimpse of William at the women's football, or soccer, as we call it down under, the World Cup this weekend, they're likely to be disappointed.
So this is the World Cup final of the women's game in Sydney on Sunday. And yeah, the Lionesses, as we call the England team, have got to the final. They're playing Spain. But I have been told quite authoritatively that Prince William will not be travelling. And it's an awkward one because Prince William's been really encouraging of the women's game. He's president of the Football Association, which covers the men's and women's game.
So what's he doing instead?
Well, I mean, he's on holiday, frankly. But to be fair, it's one of those kind of really tricky dilemmas because, as we know, Prince William cares about the environment a lot and he gets criticised for making unnecessary journeys. So the prospect of travelling all the way to Australia and back to watch a 90-minute football match, he would be criticised probably.
Yeah, but I think they could be just about to make history.
Yeah, they will make history because England haven't been in any World Cup final, men or women, since 1966 when, Queen Elizabeth presented the Jules Rimet Trophy to Captain Bobby Moore.
Well, indeed.
So, no, it would be great if he was there. But he's not going, and I think he is getting a bit of criticism already over it. I personally wouldn't criticise him because how do you show on the one hand that you care about the environment and on the other hand that you care about football?
Well, let me ask you this. Do you know if any of the Spanish royal family are going?
That is very intriguing because I know that King Felipe and Queen Letizia are great supporters of their team. They're a very sporty couple. And I have heard that they may be going on Sunday. So that does kind of put a bit more pressure on William, I'd say.
Come on, William, don't let our Lionesses down. They've already broken my heart by beating the Matildas. So now I'm Team England. So anyway, we'll see. But now let's talk about Catherine for a second. And you broke another great story this week, which revealed that the princess has let her hair down in secret recently.
This is wonderful because we don't get many insights really into how William and Catherine spend their private time, do we? They're on holiday and we don't really hear much. But what this was that Catherine was having dinner at her neighbours in Norfolk, the Marquis and Marchioness of Cholmondeley, David and Rose, and at their very big estate at the weekend.
How many rooms have they got?
I don't know how many rooms, but it's a lovely house, lovely estate. They have a quite trendy, quite posh music festival, dance music, and it's the only one in Britain that has DJs playing 24 hours a day. Well,
I was going to say, trendy and posh don't normally go together. Are you absolutely sure about that?
Well, it depends who you are, whether it's... but anyway, they thought, come on, it'd be a great idea. Why don't we go and, have a dance, go and join the festival? So I think Catherine was a bit nervous, she was a bit apprehensive, because generally everything she does is planned quite far in advance. It has to be kind of approved by security. So she spoke to some people and it was approved, and there she went and joined the throng. I mean, to be fair, I don't know exactly what I don't know whether she was in the middle of the crowd, you know, raving away at 2 in the morning, or I think it's more likely she may have been, apparently she was sipping spicy margaritas. You like a spicy margarita?
I won't say no.
Well, yeah, spicy margaritas. And the party she was with were very generous. They'd eaten at this sort of pop-up restaurant there, and they left a £700 tip. So that will have gone down very well with the staff.
Very nice. I mean, there's something hilarious and mad about our royal family that a 40-something woman has to ask permission to go out. I think a bit odd.
It would be the same, you know, it'd be the same for Joe Biden or any other figure who has security. I mean, what was particularly fun about this was that there'd been some rather naughty sort of pictures of Prince William at a nightclub in Camden Town, London, Coco, with his old mate Guy Pelly, and he was dancing away in a box at Coco. That was a few weeks ago. So I think you know, Catherine may have thought, well, come on, if he's going for a night out with his mates, why can't I?
Do you know what I think it is? I think they're very tired parents who've got through that stage where their kids have to be there, where they have to be with the kids all the time, and they're making the most of it.
Exactly, I can sympathise. Look, we know that they used to love going out. You know, there's quite a few pictures of them. You know what they were like at Mahiki and these nightclubs back in the day. So they probably reached that point where they're getting a bit nostalgic for those days.
It's the second spring. Yeah.
Exactly. So stand by to see William and Catherine at more raves in the future.
Amazing. Well, to the former Princess of Wales now, and the sad anniversary of her death is fast approaching. I can't believe how long ago it was now, and it does remain an uncomfortable one for the royal family, but for different reasons than before, right?
Yeah, 31st of August. It's you know, always a date that people remember. I think, you know, anyone of our age tend to remember where they were when they heard about that, and you know, it's one of those big events in our lives. I think what's notable, and I think what your question is referring to, is the fact that since Prince Harry quit royal duties, there's always been that sort of tension about how are they going to remember. And we've seen repeatedly that Harry's always keen to, you know, emphasise the connection with his mother, and there's been sort of slightly unseemly kind of attempts to sort of almost like claim her legacy for his own, and so they tend to have kind of separate ways of remembering, maybe separate statements, separate tributes. So we'll see what comes on that date, but they will definitely be remembering it in their own ways.
Well, lots more from Richard still to come on the show, including his take on Harry's new documentary, and stick around for our Diana montage later too. But for now, let's turn to some of your comments. We'll start with a Canadian viewer, Julia Worcester. Hi, Julia, who has a suggestion for the Commonwealth powers. She says she'd love to see an official holiday created on the late Queen's birthday or Coronation Day for all Commonwealth countries. Given that she was the longest reigning monarch, it would be fitting. It's a lovely idea. Julia also adds that she's self-employed in case any cynics think that she's just in it for the paid day off. And you know what? Why feel guilty about wanting a paid day off? After we discussed Prince Harry's trip to Japan last week, Miss Dale Westwood, who I assume is one of our American viewers, had this theory. Guess who our current ambassador is to Japan? Rahm Emanuel. Guess who his brother is? Ari Emanuel. Who does Ari represent? None other than Meghan Markle. It's good to know people in high places. Sure is. I wouldn't know, but it sounds nice. Lots of you wrote in agreeing with what Richard had to say last week about removing Prince Harry as both a Councillor of State and from the line of succession. This is from C. Roach. It is ridiculous to keep a person who has stepped down voluntarily from royal duties and who has then made unconfirmed allegations against the royal family should have any place in the line of succession. He has demonstrated that he neither wants nor is he suitable to perform royal duties, let alone be king. Well, I think that was a bit of a stretch going from that to king, but I see your point. Let's kick this section off with some royal military moves that might have put a couple of prominent noses out of joint. The King has indeed appointed Prince William as Colonel-in-Chief of the Army Air Corps. That's Harry's old regiment. Is it reasonable to say that had things been different, Harry might have been given the nod?
It's certainly possible. Yeah, I mean, it's a move that had Harry stayed carrying out royal duties, it would have made sense. You know, when he flew Apache helicopters in Afghanistan, that was as part of his role in the Army Air Corps. So it would have been quite possible in a sort of natural progression. So I think that really will have, you know, stuck in Harry's craw to see that role go to his brother.
Oh, it's not a good week, is it? With that and the appointment of the courtier. And
no, it's true. I mean, it's, you know, if you just sort of think back to when, you know, we had the sort of negotiations about what was going to happen with Harry and Meghan. When they announced the settlement, afterwards Prince Harry made a speech because he was giving a talk to a charity, and he expressed his sadness about particularly losing the military titles, and he said explicitly, you know, I had hoped that I'd be able to keep them. He saw no reason why he had to lose those. And so, you know, it's something which he cherishes, those military links, and obviously having served, it's particularly hard for him to then accept losing them.
do you think that this particular appointment for Prince William seems pointed, given it was Harry's old regiment?
Well, I mean, someone has to have that role, and Prince William, you know, is a natural. Prince William trained as a search and rescue pilot with the RAF, so he's well qualified for that role too. So I think it's great that he's got it. It makes sense. But yeah, it's just what happens when you've quit royal duties, isn't it, frankly?
Well, also possibly unhappy about the whole thing might be the Duke of York, who saw his former roles go elsewhere as well.
Well, Prince Andrew, you know, let's remember, is another one who, you know, has that military history. He served, very distinguished. It was very brave, his action in the Falklands conflict, where he flew decoy missions. It really was dangerous.
And he lost the ability to sweat. Do you remember?
That's debatable. That's a whole different ballgame. Yeah. But anyway, no. So he was extremely proud of his military links and his titles, and he's lost those now. One of them has gone to the Princess of Wales. I think it's Commodore-in-Chief of the Fleet Air Arm. Another one has gone to Sophie, the Duchess of Edinburgh. So, you know, it's great that other royals have got these titles, but it's hard. Obviously, Catherine doesn't have, you know, military experience, neither does Sophie. So, again, that will be hard for Prince Andrew to see that happen.
Well, just a few days after all this is announced, we get the first trailer for Harry's new documentary, Heart of Invictus.
Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, is it a coincidence? It's...
Well, I know you've got thoughts on the timing, yes.
Well, it's interesting timing. I mean, come on, this is, you know, a week we've had the announcement about the military titles, and then we've got the trailer. But the reason they've released the trailer now is because it's going to be broadcast next week, and it's going to be broadcast the day before the anniversary of Princess Diana's death. And
well, that's no coincidence, is it?
No, and we know that Netflix in the past has been keen to capitalise on the Princess Diana links. She's certainly focused, been the focus of in the Netflix series they did before. You might remember sort of Baby Archie, you know, touching the portrait of his late grandmother, that sort of thing. So the timing's very useful for Netflix. So any statements which Harry puts out about his mother's death will also kind of heighten the interest in him ahead of this release.
Yeah, and what did you think of the trailer itself?
Really interesting, yeah. I mean, this is his documentary. It's been long awaited. It's his series about the Invictus Games, which he set up. It was after there'd been an equivalent, I think it's the Warrior Games in America. So he and his advisors thought it'd be great to do a British equivalent, and it's been fantastic. It's given injured servicemen and women, you know, a chance to aim for something. It's been encouraging for them, and what this trailer did was highlight the individual stories. And it focused on some people have been injured in Ukraine as well. So a very dramatic trailer, and certainly made me want to watch it. I mean, remember that each competitor in the Invictus Games, you know, has got a fascinating story to tell. So forget whether it's Prince Harry involved or not. You know, even if you couldn't care less about Prince Harry.
Well, that's my question. How involved is he, or does he indeed need to be in the trailer? Will there be a huge presence of him through this documentary?
Well, certainly he features in the trailer, but he's introducing, you know, the stories behind these individuals. So, you know, I hope the series will be more about the competitors rather than Harry. And then there's also Meghan, isn't there? I mean, Meghan came to the games in Holland, you know, and she made a speech and that sort of thing. So I imagine she will feature. But I mean, personally speaking, I'd rather hear about the competitors and their stories rather than aren't we so great?
I mean, I think it sounds incredibly inspiring. We have talked recently about the pressures that the Sussexes are under to deliver now that some of their commercial deals have fallen through, but this is presumably no exception.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is one of those series that I suspect Netflix is much less keen on than it was on the much more sensationalist series about Harry and Meghan, much more gossipy. It's no coincidence that that was broadcast, you know, almost a year before this one. So that's clearly their priority. This is more the kind of project to keep Harry happy. The money's going to charity. Harry's already said that. He's giving that to Invictus. So I think it's a sort of prestige project and something to please Prince Harry with a deal, and then they're probably hoping for something more sensational to come.
Well, that brings me on nicely to this question, because there was a piece in the Sunday Telegraph at the weekend which referred to Harry and Meghan's planned adaptation of the book Meet Me at the Lake. We discussed that in last week's show, and interestingly, the piece quoted a courtier saying that they hoped Meghan and Harry could make a success of their media empire because, and I quote, if the film flops, then they'll no doubt revert to mudslinging. What do you make of that?
I thought that was really interesting. I mean, this is a project that we discussed on last week's programme, you know, and it's been a popular novel that they've been given the chance to produce. You know, I mean, I voiced some scepticism about whether it will ever
Which is so
see
out
the
of
light
character
of
for you,
day.
Richard. But,
but the point is, you know, if they can make a career as producers of TV film, the royal family will probably be pleased, because then, you know, at least they're not having to fall back on the more personal stuff. But as I say, I suspect that, you know, it's the personal stuff is really what Netflix wants. Whether Netflix will be happy just to have them as producers, I personally doubt it.
Well, producer is very much behind the camera, isn't it? And it's, you know, you don't really have to even... Nobody interviews producers when a film comes out.
Yeah, and why... It doesn't quite make sense, does it? Like, why would you need Harry and Meghan as producer? Remember, they're people with no experience whatsoever of production. Netflix is, you know, the biggest streaming giant in the world. So they want to hand work to production companies that are brilliant, that can be relied on. So, by definition, the fact they're giving this to them, you know, suggests they might be wanting to keep them happy. So, we'll see. But I think, yeah, it's interesting. And I'm sure the royal family would be much more pleased if they forged that new career doing things of their own than having to rely on talking about the past, essentially.
Yes, so very good luck with the adaptation of Meet Me at the Lake, Harry and Meghan. Well, with that, on that note, it's montage time. And looking ahead to the anniversary